Presentation. January 2019. Technology is making the world faster. Competition, processes, strategies are generating stress for the companies because they must continually innovate and adapting very quickly to this fourth industrial revolution. Technology is changing the way we live, communicate, transport, work, educate, travel, etc. But not only technology concerns just two industries, but it is also a problem that impacts in all levels and every single segment of the population. We have to be conscious that technology is growing, and we have to be very careful in not losing how we see this beautiful world, to be aware of all the benefits, but also the consequences that could bring to us. Topic 1. Climate change and global warming. How is climate changing? Since the Industrial Revolution, industries helped to increase the CO2 emissions to the atmosphere. Rainy seasons, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcano explosions, pollution, water contamination and the lack of this valued element are more complicated year over year. This problem is growing and affects in lots of situations. Industries have to adapt to this faster world and the needs of a demanding population. Many companies are not having a real compromise with the environment, and also lots of people do not care at a high consumption of plastics, meat, clothing, deforestation, and also a mass production of petroleum, gas, and carbon that are used to produce many goods. Animals are gravely affected and its environment more. The human intervention in flora and fauna is terrible. Cruelty and the abuse of the resources are extreme. Governments need to regulate CO2 emissions and try to impose a tax on industries. Need more cooperation in the international arena. It is essential to promote programs to educate citizens in the protection of the environment. Topic 2. Resource stress. Population growth, economic growth, and climate change will place increased stress on essential natural resources including water, food, arable land, and energy. Significant changes in global production and consumption, along with the cumulative effects of climate change, are expected to create further stress on already limited global resources. The population is growing and so middle class. 50% increase in food production, necessary to feed this more demanding population. 40% estimated the global gap between water supply and demand. 1 billion more people will live in areas of water stress by 2030. Consequences of resource stress, food and agricultural pressures. Increase water demand. Energy demand on the rise. Competition for metals and minerals. Increased risk of resource nationalism. Governments need to collaboration with resource suppliers including cross-government and/or the private sector. Participate in international and regional forums to address the interrelated issues of resource stress. Develop strategies for both reducing demand and increasing supply of resources. Topic 3. Urbanization. Almost 2/3 of the world's population will reside in cities by 2030. Urbanization is creating significant opportunities for social and economic development and more sustainable living, but is also exerting pressure on infrastructure and resources, particularly energy. Urbanization is the way the cities are growing, and it is the result of developing countries. The population concentrated in the cities and lots of citizens move from rural to urban areas. For example, Mexico City has much population that lives there. The city was not well planned to support this kind of growth. There is not sufficient transportation for all the people who work in the city. It became a costly city to live. Another example is NYC. There is much traffic. People move to other towns near the city because it is costly to have an apartment. Conclusions. The population have to be aware of the significant damage that is being caused to the environment. Governments have to take very seriously and consider to establish public policies more seriously with severe punishments to the industries that are not attached to the law. Create programs to educate children and adults to have better habits to protect the environment and to take care of the resources. Technology, along with behavioral change, can help us reboot the health of our nature and planet. Technology can transform how we identify, measure, track and value the many services and resources nature provides us with. Remote sensing plays an essential role in planning, monitoring, and evaluating the impact on the ground. Industries must be forced to have programs of environment protection. We have to stop using the less quantity of plastic, unicell, gas, petroleum, etc. The excessive mass production of goods is untenable. In just over 40 years, the world has witnessed a 60% decline in wildlife across land, sea, and freshwater and is heading towards a shocking decline of 2/3 by 2020 if current trends continue.